select.
He's a longtime NFL draft expert who's been sweating Vikings football since the Randy Moss era.
Straight cash, homie.
Welcome to Thor Talks Purple.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Thor Talks Purple. It's a Wednesday, so it's a War Room Wednesday edition of Thor Talks Purple, where we talk about the NFL draft through the prism of the Minnesota Vikings. I'm joined, as always, by producer AJ. AJ, ready to get into this?
Oh, absolutely. And Thor, I know yesterday on the Modest Proposal episode with Judd, you two kind of did a deep dive on some of the key aspects of Kwesi's tenure with the Vikings, what led to the firing. And when we talk about the War Room, trades happen in the War Room. And I know over the past 24, 48 hours, you've been in the sweatshop, just grinding away, evaluating some of the trades, or I guess not some of them, all of the trades made under Kwesi Adofo-Mensah as his time during his general manager tenure with the Vikings. And you're going to break it down. And it sounds like I haven't looked at this yet, but from my understanding in your preview, it is shocking just how poor some of this went.
Yeah, it is. The trading of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, I didn't think it was great in the moment, but I decided to do the exercise of looking over actually every single trade that Kwesi made during his tenure. There ended up being, I believe, 34 of them.
Okay.
I have a trade chart with the NFL draft that gives points for every single slot. So I'm able to sort of gauge the draft pick values. And for this exercise, so let me clarify two things.
Okay.
In this exercise, we are only judging the value of the slots of the trades, not the players that ended up getting selected there. It's just the value of those slots. And then with the veterans that were traded, both to the Vikings, but also from the Vikings, I basically spitballed a fair market value of what that asset would have been worth in hindsight in an attempt to come up with a fair trade value after the fact. And so that's how I ended up putting together my Kwesi trade tracker of value on each trade and then trying to look at it in the aggregate. Mm-hmm. And let's just say I was a bit surprised. So going down this, and I just wanted to show the document so you know that I individually went through each trade to get here.
Yeah.
To the conclusion. We're not going to go through each of them, but it will give you an idea. The other thing I'll say before I get to the final analysis here is I did not count the Adam Thielen trade against Kwesi because he didn't want to do it. And they sent in Rob Brzezinski to finish that negotiation out. Yeah. I'm not going to ding Kwesi for that. And the other thing I'll say is we don't know what other trades that Kwesi was either strong-armed into or totally removed from the negotiation because he didn't want to do it and someone else pushed it through. But we're the last of the trades, the 34th one, that is the one we're omitting from his record. We're counting the other 33. At the end of this document here, you see that I go through the trades of the lost points or added points of the trade chart, depending on how the trades went. The ones with the slots were very easy because I just run that through my trade chart. Here's the whole upshot of this thing. In the totality, those 33 trades, and again, not the players selected in them, just the slots. My math on this has the Kwesi lost 291 points in trades. Over those 33 trades on my trade chart, the number 17 pick in the draft by my trade chart is worth 296. The 18th selection, which the Vikings themselves own this year, is worth 287. So the amount of value that was frittered away in trades alone, again, before the players were selected, and the selections were terrible, you have frittered away a first-round pick. So yesterday, Judd and I, and we've done this now for the past several days, the deep dive on the Kwesi thing, and I had plenty of thoughts, and folks can check out our deep dive of that yesterday of some of the tentacles off of this decision. I don't want that to be seen, though, as me advocating that Kwesi did a good job. I don't think he got to see everything through, granted. But I don't think that he did a great job. If he had been able to see everything through, we don't know. That would have looked a bit different. But my whole thing looking over these transactions is where were the analytics? In trades, that's one area where the analytical fingerprint should be all over it. And Kwesi at the beginning of the tenure, the first trade is obviously the most famous example and the one that has been talked about the most, and even one that's been forwarded as the beginning of the end, the very first trade that he ever made, which was that trade down with the Detroit Lions. And some of these different trades that he made, after the fact, it's like, well, you lost in the trade charts, whatever. And he made a point once that his trade chart was different than other folks. AJ, as I was doing this exercise and when I was looking at the draft pick trades, and again, I want to say it one more time, not the players selected in them, just the trades of the slots themselves.
And really quick, are those being adjusted year to year based on how you valued those draft classes?
The future picks, yes. I will go up and down with the points that I give future picks in my trade chart. But this one, just looking at the slots, I just did the rote value of those, and I don't adjust my baseline one too much at all year to year. The first pick is worth 1,000 points. The Mr. Irrelevant pick, 257, is worth 1 point. And then everything kind of in between. But the thing that struck me again, going through 33 trades, and in particular the draft pick ones, they were losing damn near every single one. And what I'm thinking is, okay, you have a different trade chart. My trade charts are an amalgamation of my three favorite ones, and then I modified it a little bit, but they're popular trade charts that are sort of grabbing the Jimmy Johnson one, the Patriots guy, what's his name? Lane. I forget the other guys that have made these, but one of them has to do with trades of slots, and then the actual trades that were made in the NFL draft, making a trade chart off that. Another one had to do with looking back at historical data and the players that have gone in those slots and the career value that they have given back to the NFL, and then sort of gauging values of slots like that. But the whole point being, I don't know what kind of trade chart Kwesi could have to so consistently lose trades of draft picks. It would be like picking up a coin and somehow it being tails 20 straight times. That's literally what it felt like as I kept putting these trades into my trade chart. I'm like, another loss. It's funny that in some of these, as you see on this sheet, just to make the math a little bit easier for me, I would shove some of the trades together. So like for the drafts, like the 2022 draft, 2023 draft, I just shove them together to make the math a little bit easier. But yeah, the last draft was the first time where the trading value with the slots where it seemed to line up. Okay. In the last draft, the 2025 draft, if you add all the picks that Kwesi traded out and then acquired, on my trade chart, it was even. And then the Vikings also got Sam Howell, which, quite the consolation prize, although they were able to trade him for something to the Eagles. So technically, Kwesi won in trading just with the slot values in his last draft. We didn't see a lot of that. And then you saw some big mistake trades. The Ezra Cleveland for a late pick swap would be an example of this. Trading the equivalent of consecutive round 7 picks and consecutive drafts to get Cam Akers on a rental in consecutive years, overpaying for TJ Hawkinson. Now, some of that is circumstantial because TJ Hawkinson then went on to tear his ACL the year that he had signed the extension. But you didn't win that trade. Right. And you just go down here. I mean, Laporta was picked by the Vikings would have rather had Sam Laporta on a rookie contract than paying Hawkinson what they paid him. But again, you just go down on these trades, the lost value on them, and then you consider the poor drafts. I'll give Kwesi the benefit of the doubt again that we know over the last 3 years, more power was taken from him. So you can't put all transactions on him. But that being said, the trading has been poor. The draft picks have been poor. And obviously we get the firing of Kwesi coming out of that. A lot of the people still around in the room that were, advocating for certain decisions or stuff like that, they're still around. So we'll see if there's any modifications to the draft process this year. But it hasn't been good now for 4 years running.
Walk me through some of before we get down to the bulk highlighted stuff here at the bottom that appeared to me on first glance look like the big summaries and whatnot. Walk me through, of the 33, do you have any that while you were doing this exercise that stuck out to you as like, okay, maybe I didn't realize it was this bad at the moment, but now looking back, what a huge loss. Or maybe vice versa, something that initially you were like, I hate this trade so much, where you're like, you know what, that actually wasn't all too bad.
A couple. Yeah.
Okay.
The trading in the and I hate to go back to it. But
Let's do it.
Yeah, the very first draft that Kwesi had, and again, there's the problem of the players that were actually selected in the slots that you came out with. But if you add that entire transaction together, as I've done, as you can see in bold there, you end up trading the 12th and the 46th pick for 32, 53, 59, 66, shoving those trades together. By my trade chart, the Vikings lost 18 points. That was the equivalent of just giving away a late fourth round pick. And you did it by dropping way down in the top round of the first round. You generally don't see that. I referred to that trade, the first of the couple trades that I shoved together there yesterday, is an unprecedented trade in NFL history, where you drop down 20 plus slots in the first round, trading with a division rival and not recouping a future first round pick. You ended up breaking it into, because then the second pick that they got back from the Lions, that was the pick that they ended up trading to the Packers for 2 second-round picks. But you shuttle off receivers to your two division rivals, Jameson Williams to the Lions, Christian Watson to the Packers, and then the picks that you ended up making there obviously were terrible. But even before you got to the terrible picks, you had frittered away value to do that. And I mean, it just started out what was, again, a recurring theme of losing out on these trades. Now, I will also say I have made the argument in the past that when the teams are on the clock, the trading of draft picks, it goes from being a theoretical thing. If you make a trade a month before, like the Vikings trade with the Texans to get the second first round pick in the 2024 draft, that was made a month plus before the draft. Mm-hmm. You're doing a trade like that mostly on the Kelly Blue Book, trade values and Kwesi's broken trade chart. When you get into the draft itself, now the slots become a tangible thing because you can acquire players that are ranked on your board. And your board, you might have them, and you assuredly would if you're trading up, higher than the selection that is on the clock at that time. And that's why, and so there's been instances where it's like, well, if that guy that they took, he's higher up on the board, where I've tried to make the argument for them in one-off scenarios of, the value there on their charts is going to jive, but you look at it over the ocean of trades, the 33. And again, I did not ding Kwesi for the Thielen trade because I know that he wasn't involved in those negotiations, but the 33 in advance of that, there was a consistent refrain of frittering away value in trades. Some of them, a lot of them, it was a small amount. The equivalent of 7th round value here, the equivalent of late 6th round value here. Then you had a couple other trades where it was more like frittering away a day 2 pick. You end up shoving everything together. That's how you end up getting to, in totality over 4 years, my numbers showing that you basically gave away for free a mid-first round pick. And then we've done the analysis on the draft picks themselves, which have been terrible. So yeah, this is a broken draft process. I think the unfortunate thing is that everyone in the room that was contributing to those decisions is still there, except for the bean counter. Now, the bean counter guy was in the trades you have to put on him, and that's why I wanted to go through this analysis. We are not absolving Kwesi here, but I want an explanation, or at least a proof of life in April that there has been major changes to the thinking with the draft process. Because, again, what we have seen in the last 4 years, it is a broken philosophy. It's a broken philosophy. And how is it going to do a 180 change in terms of that, the trades, the picks themselves, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? How is that going to change here with just Kwesi out when we already know that his say in that room had dwindled down the stretch there? We'll find out, but that's the thing I'm a little bit trepidatious about.
For the visual audience here on YouTube, I've been kind of scrolling up and down this document. For the audio audience, we have a document of Thor's kind of breaking down every single trade with the values. But on my scrolling here, I don't see, or maybe I've missed it, wins? Were there any trades that you felt like the Vikings won?
There was a couple but shoving some of the trades together is where
Okay.
Yeah, like because at the bottom, just trying to get through the math quicker, like
Yeah,
again,
absolutely.
in drafts or in off seasons, I shove some of them together. Individual one-off transactions, yeah, there was a couple. I mean, it would have been impossible, I think, to lose 33 consecutive.
Right.
He came close, but
But still, the fact that like we're sitting here talking about this 33 grouping, and then it's like, yeah, there might have been like 2 or 3 one-off ones that just snowballs. And now we're sitting here, and based on the numbers you've crunched in the trade charts, losing what essentially is a 17 and a half first round pick. Like this, if 17 and a half was it's like Harry Potter, 9 3/4 or whatever. Like it's somewhere a pick between 17 and 18, where the value they've lost is just incredible. And for a guy that Thor is a guy that is so analytical and like is lauded as not a football guy, a guy that is number crunching, math driven. It's crazy that time and time again, it seems like the values just didn't work out for him. And now we're talking about minus 29 points, minus 12 points, minus 61, 1, 5, 4, 53, 2, 40. And then it adds up to a whopping 291 value loss. That is incredible.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it speaks to the competency of that front office or lack thereof for sure. But also when you start looking at the individual drafts themselves, it starts to tell you a little bit of a tale. The first draft, now that looks, at least in terms of pick distribution and some of that stuff, like a guy familiar with analytics might prefer, right? Okay. And that's where you have after the move down, but then you pick at 32, that was a scene pick, but then 42, 59, 66, trying to acquire a bunch of those day 2 kind of picks and breaking up the first round pick in order to do that. You then look at the subsequent 3 years. And again, I want to remind everyone the reporting that after the initial draft, the coaches, I don't want to say they commandeered the draft process, but they took a much, much, much heavier, more active role from the beginning of the draft process all the way through to the drafting of the players, beginning with the second draft, beginning with the 2023 draft. You look at the 2023, 2024, and 2025 drafts, they all have similarities, which is the Vikings have not made a second round pick, AJ, since Ed Ingram in 2022. It's the last time they submitted a card in the second round. Now, of course, that was their second round pick in that draft. Andrew Booth had come before that. The Vikings, after that, the trades that they were making, and I just went through the value that they were losing in those trades, but they started to make aggressive moves using draft equity and the ability to get the second first-round pick in 2024, which I believe was originally done with the intention of bundling picks, even more picks to try to move up to the number 3 pick for Drake May. But to do that in 2024, you basically had to blow up your 2025 draft in advance. They did protect the first-round pick. They took the guard with that, but they traded both of their day 2 picks. The round 3 pick was a comp pick. Right, that they ended up trading back, and then the Ty Felton thing because they got sniped on Xavier Watts before that. But yeah, the slots that the Vikings ended up selecting last year after their first round pick, 102, 139, and then 201, 202, which they got both those picks in a trade down where they broke a pick in half. The lack of equity hurt as well, and the want to be aggressive to get some of these different things. You entered drafts where you're already behind the 8 ball, and an administration that had showed that they were not the best at this, then sort of fumbled around from there. I want to say it again. I think the draft process of this team is broken. It was irrevocably broken, and I think what they're trying to sell to y'all is we fixed it now. I would love to hear how. I would love for someone with the team to sit down and say this was the actual stuff that Kwesi was responsible for. Here was a couple mistakes that were made in that. I'm talking capacity with the job and not his frickin' personal life. Please, guys, actual decisions that were made on the clock and et cetera. And this is the philosophy that we would like going forward. This is how we think we have rectified and addressed some of those issues. I would love to know. I don't think we're going to get that. I think we're just going to have to hope and pray and cross our fingers that Kevin O'Connell led ship in late April, that all of a sudden the Vikings war room is going to be the 180-degree inverse from what we have seen for 4 years. As y'all know, I have my doubts about that.
Part of that draft process was selecting quarterback J.J. McCarthy in the 2024 draft, trading up to do so. And then now last season with injury. This past season was, kind of topsy-turvy once again with injury. Let's talk about maybe the plan at quarterback for 2026. And I know people familiar with the show and with you, I think probably know your stance, but like, where do you expect this team to go? Because now on one hand, you could view it as Kwesi's gone and that was his pick. That was a pick made under him as general manager. Is there this still we have to put our feet in the ground, dig our heels in and prove that we selected this guy for a reason? But also on the other side of things, when we talked about this yesterday, the pick was not only advocated for by Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Like that was something that Kevin O'Connell very much was involved with and was kind of encouraging at the time. So now in a year that maybe with the GM gone, people might think, okay, well that takes pressure off him. Phil said this, I want to say on PD yesterday, which is Kevin O'Connell is very much coaching for his job in 2026. So does he have to prove that J.J. McCarthy is the right guy and that pick wasn't just a waste? Or do you just, cut bait and bring in somebody else who might be able to play quarterback a little bit better?
I didn't appreciate the way you ended that sentence.
Sorry. More... maybe play more consistently on the field. How about that?
And maybe stay healthy, right?
That's the biggest one. Is just the healthy, I think, is the biggest question. Because I still very much think the promises and what the flashes we saw could project to be a very, very good quarterback in this league. The problem is we're not seeing it consistent enough. It's like watching a TV show and 1 in every 4 episodes is an absolute banger, and then the other ones are like filler episodes, and you're just like, I want to like this show, but I just can't commit so much time to it.
Yeah, the Max Brosmer fill-in episode.
I hated that episode.
Yeah, exactly.
We got 2 of those.
Yeah, a lot made of the backup quarterback situation last year and what happened with the Daniel Jones, and obviously we're not going to go through that again. But that's the thing that I expect to be rectified. I know that the Vikings are already doing work on quarterback possibilities, and how that will go. The thing with the big swing, I don't think that is realistic, even though I do think it's realistic that O'Connell will go or try to go or explore possibilities to go YOLO. I don't see where that would be available. Lamar Jackson, they're not going to trade him. Again, the Justin Herbert cannot see the Chargers trading for him, and I've gone into why I think it's the Burrow stuff is problematic to a point where it can't happen with those 2 guys having the same agent and that agent not loving the Vikings. He ain't gonna help. And so you go down to the actual, quote unquote, like realistic type options, be that Mac Jones trade is one possibility. Do you want to give up draft equity to do that? And then you're gonna potentially block McCarthy. I think that's what would happen if you trade a day 2 pick for Mac Jones. Or the free agent options. Is Kirk Cousins, is he going to play next year? I'm not sure about that. Yeah. Will Kyler Murray be let free by the Cardinals? He's currently under contract, and the Cardinals, to release him, they would have to eat an enormous cap hit. I've heard different stuff about that, the thinking there with the Cardinals and Murray, and the new coaches coming in. There's a little bit more optimism around there that Murray might stay than I think there was before. They just hired their new coach, so we'll have to see, but that's sort of the initial sort of feeling we're getting there. And again, we'll find out. But the options start to dwindle for you pretty quick. But yeah, be it a Geno, be it a Cousins, be it a Kyler Murray, I would expect it to be someone in that sort of range. I think those are kind of the names that we're talking about right now, or a Mac Jones.
All right. Well, hey, it wouldn't be a War Room Wednesday if we didn't do some sort of a mock draft. So I'll pull it up here, pff.com. We're going to do a quick 7-round stick and pick mock for the Vikings. Well, we get a little fancier on those Mondays, but this one I think it just suits well to kind of show how the board may fall, especially now with the shakings and movings of the front office with Kwesi moving out. At least my novice mind maybe says maybe that leads them to be a little more safe in terms of not moving up and down the board as much as it is just stay and pick at the slots that they are. So we'll get into it here. Vikings picking 18th in the upcoming draft, in case you live under a rock and haven't heard that yet or talked about on this show. And I'll get us to the 18th pick here.
And AJ, it's interesting. You know, these exercises we've started out the last few by trading both Jordan Addison and Jonathan Grenard, and again with the coaching staff having wrestled the personnel control here for this offseason, wonder if there will be any change of thinking with that. Kind of curious, we we haven't heard yet. But yeah, this mock exercise, we figured, sort of in the aftermath of this, of doing more of a stick and pick type thing in the slots that we're in, but then also not trading the veterans. I can also tell y'all that they're talking with the agents of several players with the bigger contracts, whether it's extensions or whether it is the renegotiation thing of redistributing the money to open up cap space. So potentially, if you do that enough, if you kick the can to the future with the financials enough, you could open up enough cap space, make it easier potentially to keep it Jonathan Grenard, maybe. We'll have to see on that account. But yeah, because of all this, in this moment where Wednesday, February 4th, we figure we give you a stick and pick type mock with that in mind.
So, with that being said, PFF has the Vikings top needs at running back, center, and defensive back. In terms of those positions off the board already, we see.
PFF, by the way, I gotta talk with Trevor about this later this month in Indianapolis at the Combine. But they do the thing. Just forgive me for 1 second for going on a tangent. Oh. They do the thing of putting the team needs up there, and then their system, obviously, and PFF, they're great. They have great math folks there and everything like that. And the algorithm, it's like, you have to hit that center need or whatever. Well, there's several players in this class that were collegiate tackles or collegiate guards that we know are going to have the capability of playing center. And when I take them with a pick that is addressing the center need, the system then penalizes me for not taking a center, but taking a position of non-need according to the system. I got to talk with Trevor about this. So can you add with the players, what was it? The old, I used to play video games quite a bit, the sports video games, and you could do the thing of switching the players, positions, or they would have in the NBA game, it'd be like, primary position, shooting guard.
Yeah, they have secondary position.
Yep. Exactly, small forward. Can we get in the algorithm there? Brian Parker, Duke tackle, and then the secondary position can also play guard and center, right? So that modest proposal.
Save those for Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jamal McCoy goes at the pick 8 out of Tennessee, the cornerback to the Saints. You also see Mansour Delane Island going out of LSU.
Someone emailed me about Jamal McCoy because Jamal McCoy, in one of the major mocks that came out recently, they mocked him to the Vikings. And you see a wide band of outcomes with Jamal McCoy because Jamal McCoy was awesome 2024. He missed all of 20. He's the Tennessee cornerback. Missed all of 2025 with an injury. The 2024 tape's really good, but how does each organization see the miss season? And then how will Jamal McCoy test? That was already a question with his evaluation. He's physical. The technique is really good. He's fluid, very fluid. But as far as just the athleticism overall, there are some questions with that. So we're going to have to see on that. But anyway, I've gotten some questions of, would you guys talk a little bit more about Jamal McCoy? So we'll get to one of those questions tomorrow on Ask Thor Anything and talk a little bit more about Jamal McCoy. And then I will also explain why I don't talk about him more on these things. The reason is because I've never taken him in one of them because I like other corners more. But we'll get into all of that tomorrow on the Ask Thor Anything. And a reminder for folks out there to to put questions as well down in the chat that we can get to tomorrow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been getting emails all week too, so I've already got a small cache that I'm gonna send your way here, so you can maybe do a little prep on those beforehand. But if you don't know how to do that, download the free Score North mobile app, go to the feedback tab, and you can select me as one of the recipients. You can even get in touch with Thor. I think you get emails through there too.
Yeah, I do. And like people
Perfect.
asking you hockey questions, and then I get it, and then I'm like,
we're gonna get you to be a puckhead here at some point.
yeah, well, you're gonna have to teach me all the players. I do know Quinn Hughes, and then I know Jesper. I like Jesper.
Well, funny enough, we've been talking about trading Jesper.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to trade Jesper?
Got to get a top center, man. But we'll save that for a JHS. And we'll get back into this.
Can we do a crossover episode where I go on and I just bang the table for the two guys I know?
I think
don't trade Jesper. Okay.
I love him. Anyways, right here, top guys available.
My hockey trades would be like Kwesi's football trades.
Just loss. Spencer Fano, Avion Terrell's on the board. Denzel Boston, the wide receiver out of Washington. Kane McDonald out of Ohio State. Anybody here at 18 being the best option in your mind?
Yep. Love Avion Terrell. So we're going to take Avion Terrell here. The some of the exercises we've been doing recently, you guys have noticed the cornerbacks go higher. So a lot of times we don't get access to Terrell or one of those top three corners. He gets down here now in our stick and pick mock. I think that this is the right decision here. Interior defensive line, of course, is a really big need, and day two, safety is going to be a big need as well. But if I can get access to one of those top cornerbacks with this pick, that's what I'm interested in doing. The Vikings need to fortify that cornerback room.
And would he be able to play that boundary role? Remind me.
I believe yes. There is a debate about this because Avion Terrell, the dimensions, it is a little bit smaller, but played boundary at Clemson. He would kick inside as well. It's a versatile guy. You can bring him into the slot and then send him from there. He's a good pass rusher when they do it. He's really good run defender as well. Those are a couple of the things that assuage my theoretical concerns about the size, and then also he's good at press man. Okay. He's really feisty kind of a guy. His brother was the first round boundary cornerback. AJ Terrell is a bit bigger than Avion Terrell, but Avion Terrell plays bigger than his size. So I think, yes, I absolutely think he can play boundary in the NFL, but I also believe that the Vikings will be attracted to his versatility, but then also the well-rounded skill set of Avion Terrell.
Okay, so we'll take Terrell here at pick 18. And then our next pick on the clock, round 2, the 17th pick at pick 49. Eli Stowers, tight end out of Vanderbilt. Deontay Lawson, linebacker, Alabama. Colton Hood, we'll probably ignore it.
Pretty surprising that Colton Hood falls down there. In this one, the corners seem to be falling a bit more. I don't know that I've seen Colton Hood fall this far down.
Have you noticed that it looks like over the past little bit here, at the start of the year, he was still kind of up in that late 20s, probably late first round, but now it seems like he's kind of fallen off a cliff based on PFF mock drafts, at least, dropping down here.
Yeah, there's a couple, I don't know, you call them like flavors of the month that have, I think that he's kind of losing tiebreakers to over the crowd, with those like kind of ADP numbers. And it looks like Trevor knocked him down a little bit in his rankings as well. But Keith Abney and Brandon Cisse, Cisse has moved up there where he's going above Hood in some of these different things. So I think that contributes to it. And obviously just the roll of the dice here, what we saw with the first pick, the corner gets a little bit lower. Chris Johnson there as well. But yeah, we have taken our corner, so we're not going to be hitting that with this pick.
Out of the guys that maybe catch your eye here, I don't know if we, in this exercise...
Keep giving me a scroll down.
Yeah, for sure. So like Jay Galday's there, Derek Moore, who I know it was only on Monday, but my memory's not serving me great. I think we took Derek Moore.
Yeah. But that was in one of the ones where we traded Grenard.
That's correct.
We don't have as big of a need for if they keep Grenard, they barely have anyone for an edge.
Yeah. Jadarian Price is there, running back out of Notre Dame. I'll just kind of keep scrolling. We do need to probably cover the safety position here at some point. So Kamari Ramsey out of USC is available. Did we miss out on your guy? If I can scroll up here, there's Emmanuel McNeil Warren, and before there is a Dylan Thieneman. No,
No,
yes,
Thieneman went.
He went at 34. So
Did Halsey go?
yes, he went right there to the Ravens.
Yeah, this is the thing where we get off safety in round 2. If those 3 guys are gone, and we'll hit that later on. I am not a Kamari Ramsey guy, so someone else can take him in the next couple guys. And there's some of the ones that we talked about, I think on Monday, Genesis Smith is a guy, you can look at, Bud Clark later on, if you want more the versatile guy around the box, but, we'll hit that position later on. We're going to focus on some other ones here. AJ, offensive line, you could toss up all the offensive line, positions there. Of course, interior defensive line, toss up linebacker for me. Don't have to do safety in this one because we don't like the safeties up there.
Yeah.
Did you do off-ball linebacker as well?
I sure can.
Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at these positions here. I'm not a Lawson guy here. I don't think Tiernan's going to go that high.
Okay.
Galde is of interest. I'm a big fan of Galde, this Cincinnati linebacker. But yeah, just keep scrolling down for me. This would be a potential with center. With the depth now of the center class, with all the potential position converts that we have playing center, that's why I don't want to take Connor Liu with this pick. I think we can hit that later with another guy that could.
So does this maybe shape up more to be, I know Jacob Rodriguez down there. So 49, the gap between here to 82, like a Rodriguez could be there if you want to go based on where their ADPs are for some of these other guys. But just scrolling back at the top here, I'll kind of give you another quick scroll and we'll see maybe where your eyes might wander.
Go back to the top real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So with this pick, I am between my boy Big Citrus and then also a guy that we haven't taken yet, which is the guy that we can't pronounce his name, the Max.
Max. He not sure.
I should have looked that up before. I want to see the pronunciation now.
Tell you what, you talk about what you know about him, and I'll look up a pronunciation in the background.
He's an offensive lineman that plays the game with bad intentions. That kid plays with that hard edge to his game. I love the people mover kind of a thing. I like the way that he plays. But yeah, sometimes that motor runs a little bit hot. But yeah, you have athleticism there. It's a people mover in the run game. And the offensive tackle thing, I've gotten questions about this too, of you, i.e. me, are not taking offensive tackles early enough in these mock exercises in lieu of Brian O'Neill getting up there in age, in lieu of the health concerns with Christian Darrisaw and the regression in play last year. So that's something here. I don't love the draw that we got in this pick, and we are stuck here. And so this could be a scenario where you get a tackle a little bit earlier. I like this kid's game. I do, though, think, AJ, I think I'm going to go with Dominic Orange here, the defensive tackle. It is
not just because we know how to say his name, correct?
And not just because we know how to say his name, but the offensive line, I like the depth of that center class, and I do think we can swing back for our swing tackle, as it were. But the other thing with me in the center position is several of the ones that I like were collegiate tackles, and that's potentially something that could sort of soft address the tackle depth as well. I mean, Brendel, if he doesn't win that job, to the guy that I could take, he'd back up there. If the guy I'm going to take, he could be the backup early on if he doesn't win that job. So anyway, for all those reasons, I'm going to go away from the offensive line with this pick. I want to take my boy Dominic Orange, one of the better run defending interior defensive linemen in this class. Mentioned it before, but Dominic Orange is going to replace what we lost trading Harrison Phillips out of town.
Next here at pick 82, also just on a quick side note, I think we are sort of spot on here. It's Ian Nachor, pretty much.
Ian Nachor,
pretty much, yeah. But
Ian Nachor.
But,
Okay.
We'll tell you what, we'll draft him here in the future. We'll pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
And we'll act like this never happened.
We will act like this never happened. We will delete this from the internet.
At pick 82, some of the top guys on the board that we might want to take a look at. Nebraska running back Emmett Johnson, tackle Jennings Dunker is there. If I keep scrolling down, Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker out of Texas Tech. Zaki Wheatley, Penn State safety is available. Seth McGowan, running back out of Kentucky. Brian Parker II.
Malachi Fields too. A lot of good. Yeah, Brian Parker, Malachi Fields.
Yeah, despite being in like mid-third round here, we are seeing a lot of pretty solid talent.
Yeah, there's some attractive options here. I think through day 2, there's a lot of guys in this class that can play early. We have poo-pooed this draft, but there's day 2. I don't mind the day 2 as much this year. I think with this one, AJ, I was just talking about this, but the thing of addressing the tackle depth with a guy that can play the interior and hopefully center. This one, I'm gonna. It's a little bit of a step into the unknown because we haven't seen this guy at center, but I love Jennings Dunker. I think Jennings Dunker is going to be a fabulous offensive lineman in the NFL for years. He was a right tackle at Iowa. The projection to guard is extremely clean. Jennings Dunker said as well that he is going to be practicing center this offseason and doing more of that stuff, combine, pro day. So Jennings Dunker wants to prove he could play center as well. I'm going to take Jennings Dunker here as a guy that is insurance against Brian O'Neill, is insurance against both the guards, and can compete for that starting center job immediately. But this is a starting caliber NFL offensive lineman right out of the box, and we'll just figure it out in camp from there. I like this kid's game. Let's go with Dunker.
All right, so Dunker there at 82, back on the clock at 97, one of the final picks of the third round.
Scroll down and see if Rodriguez is still there. That's what I want.
Let's see.
Please. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's going to be gone. Where did he go? Zaki Wheatley went.
He go right after us? Yeah.
He went, like a couple picks after.
Okay.
So he's no longer available. But tell you what, I'll throw up on the board here. I'll throw up linebacker. I'll get you kind of edge rushers 2. I'll get you safety, and I'll get you. I guess we don't need the center position right now since we buffed up the tackle, who you're expecting to work out there. So Genesis Smith is there, but Clark is there. Michael.
If you take a guy like Dunker though, where you're not convinced that he could be a center, like again, that's a theoretical thing. We're gonna have to see the rest of this offseason. We just haven't seen him there before. But
so Sam Heck out of Kansas State still on the board.
I think with this, I like the depth of the center class. In lieu of the factors I was talking about before, and I didn't mean to pun off Connor Lou's name there, but I think in this, with what we've done here with Dunker, I want to circle back to the center position, not now, but later.
Yeah.
Right. And then you would have the flexibility of if Dunker can't play center, or if you would prefer to have Dunker stay at right tackle, man. You're our right tackle of the future. However they wanted to do that, it would open up more possibilities, and we take advantage of a position that has depth in this class in center. Linebacker is another one. So we could get maybe a discount at those positions as opposed to some other ones at this point in the draft.
So at pick 97 here, just kind of looking through here, Genesis Smith, safety out of Arizona. TCU safety Buck Clark is there. Michael Taffy, safety out of Texas.
Oh, and by the way,
Fisher.
I would Michael. It's Taff.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, I was pronouncing it like Laffy Taffy, but it's Taff.
Okay, so Michael Taff.
We'll get there in all the pronunciations by April, but
there's so many guys here.
So many guys.
It's tough. Aiden Fisher, linebacker out of Indiana, is there. Jalen Stroman, safety out of Notre Dame. Trey Moore, linebacker out of Texas. Harold Perkins Jr., linebacker out of LSU. I'll keep scrolling here. Anybody that you think is worthy of this pick at 97?
I like that Kyle Louis guy, but he's not going to be there for our next pick, I don't think. Actually, he might, maybe. If we don't take a linebacker, that's who I want with our next pick. Pit linebacker that moves like a safety. But yeah, go to the top of this, AJ, for me one more time. Yeah. Genesis Smith, who we've taken in the recent past, certainly in play here. This would be the center fielder replacement. for Harrison Smith.
Yeah.
So that's the direction I'm leaning. But just give me one more scroll down there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking safety here, it's that kind of bunching of Genesis Smith, Bud Clark, Michael Taff. We haven't. What do you know about Jalen Stroman? Because I don't think we've talked about him on the show.
Jalen Stroman's a decent player. I don't like him as much as Genesis Smith. I like Smith more as that center field guy. Stroman, there's versatility there where he can play the different roles. You can put him in the box. You can put him in the nickel. I think for the Vikings needs, and then also in terms of quality of prospect, it's why I prefer Genesis Smith or a Michael Taff, you know, in terms of that stuff. But yeah, Stroman's not a bad player. I just think for the Vikings needs and then sort of my preferences with it, that's why I prefer those other guys.
Okay, so sounds like you might be leaning Genesis Smith here.
Yeah, let's take Genesis Smith.
Okay, perfect. So Genesis Smith at pick 97. Vikings will be back on the clock at 161, and we'll see if your guy Kyle Lewis, is it Louis or Lewis?
We're gonna have to check on that one too.
Okay,
I think it's Lewis, but we'll check on that one.
He is no longer on the board. Is the short way around there. So I'll give you a scroll here. Otherwise, position-wise, where do you maybe want to explore?
Okay, yeah, we got a couple guys there that I like. I'm kind of leaning towards Logan Jones, the Iowa center of the guys that you just did, and I took Iowa's right tackle earlier.
Let's keep the band together. Why not?
Well, it's hard to go broke drafting Iowa offensive linemen. They tend to be pretty reliable in the NFL. Just trying to think through the other positions that we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, just to recap too, we took Avion Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson, Dominic Orange, D lineman out of Iowa State, Jennings Dunker, tackle out of Iowa, and Genesis Smith, safety out of Arizona.
AJ, for me, could you toss up the positions of interior offensive line, running back, linebacker, and then toss in tight end and wide receiver as well, just to see. Yeah. We're not being as aggressive with those positions in this exercise because we didn't do the Jordan Addison trade.
Yep.
But let's take a look with what is on the board there.
So that means Daquan Wright out of Ole Miss, tight end, is at the top. Cyrus Allen, wide receiver out of Cincinnati. Chase Roberts, BYU wide receiver. John Michael Gillenborg, tight end out of Wyoming. Jaden Ott, running back out of Oklahoma. Xavier Thomas, wide receiver, LSU. Oscar Delp, tight end, Georgia. Logan Jones, who you just mentioned, might be the way we look here.
And that is the direction I want to go. My boy Borkircher is there as well. But for this one, I want to take Logan Jones. This is actually a legitimate answer to the offensive line issues from last year. Now you have the true center in Logan Jones. As far as true centers in this class, this guy's a top 3 one in the class. You know, and again, I've talked about all the different guys that could end up handling center at the next level. Jennings Dunker, his collegiate teammate, one of the guys that's trying to do that. But this one protects us in terms of both, and we have also greatly improved our depth in the interior and at tackle, while improving the starting offensive line. So I think we've done good work with that.
That keeps. I mean, the chemistry a little bit there might benefit in the long run, even if you have to make the hard decision of who's actually playing center at the end of the day. I put up for you.
The Seahawks start, the Seahawks in the Super Bowl start Sundell at center next to Gray Zabel, 2 NDSU guys. So yeah.
The positions I got up for you here, just of the guys we didn't take with that last pick here now at 195, we've got wide receiver, tight end, running back, and then I threw linebacker up for you as well. Any other positions you might want to take a peek at?
No, those are good for here.
Okay. As we kind of go down, Owen Heineke.
Bocher is the guy that I like so far of these names. The Oregon linebacker, Bryce Bocher.
Okay.
But yeah, just go a bit more down and just see if there's any other dudes hanging here.
Yeah, absolutely. Lewis Bond, Eli Heidenreich, Kalen Black, Xavier Sori Jr.
Yeah, let's take them.
Let me find him here again. Bryce Bocher, linebacker, Oregon.
Yeah. Bocher, he gets kind of overshadowed, both because the defense he played in college had so many studs, but then also this linebacker class, it's arguably the best position group in this class. If it's not, it would be 2 or 3. But one of the best positions is, I believe that it's the best, just individual one. And because of the depth of it and because of how many good linebackers, he doesn't get talked about as much. It's a couple levels down from like a Kyle Lewis, for instance, but they're different kind of players. Bocher is just so smart. He's technically sound. He doesn't take false steps. He's a reliable tackler. And he's been a super key cog for a really, really awesome defense the last couple of years. So I think he'll be good for us. He's going to play some special teams for us as well.
Back on the clock here, pick 197, giving a quick scroll, a couple names that maybe stick out to me. I mean, we've talked about J. Michael Sturdivant in the past. I think I just passed him. Ephesians Prysock, somebody you met and spoke with at the Senior Bowl. I don't know if maybe it just take another stab here at the cornerback position even makes sense. I think if I scrolled that Devin Eastern here,
our boy.
maybe not.
All of our boys.
Everybody is here. Everyone is here. I think maybe he got taken, but the tight end out of Riley Nowakowski, at the tight end of Indiana, who you talked about on previous shows, who you said is maybe able to fill somewhat of a not a running back, a fullback role potentially with the Vikings.
Yeah, he's a super smart player and a versatile player and a guy that could, fullback, H-back. The thing with Nowakowski, that because of that frame, you see there's 6'2", 249, and play strength isn't, that's not his thing. So he's not an inline tight end, but you think about replacing CJ Ham. Nowakowski is one of the guys in this class, and one of the top guys that I would point to as a potential guy to take that role. Can do a little bit of everything, and you can line him up everywhere. And because, AJ, we haven't hit tight. And again, I don't think Nowakowski is a tight end in the traditional sense, but we also haven't hit that yet.
Maybe he doesn't even make sense here because we're going to be back on the clock in 5 picks at 2:02 as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'll go back. Here's the full board here. But
what are the other one? I was just looking back of the positions we haven't hit yet.
So we've got cornerback with Terrell, D-line with Orange, tackle / maybe interior with Dunker, Genesis Smith, safety, center with Logan Jones, and linebacker with Bryce Bocher.
Yeah, so we're probably looking skill guy here unless we wanted to double up at a position. It looks, we've hit all the levels of the defense, and then we've taken the 2 offensive linemen. So, we've had sort of to this point infrastructure type draft. So, yeah, I want to get a running back. I want to get a tight end. Maybe even in addition to a Nowakowski, who again I'm drafting to address the CJ Ham departure. Let's just start it out with Nowakowski, and then we'll pick up the pieces in 5 picks here and see what's available to us.
Perfect. Let me just get back and find him here. Nowakowski at 197, back on the clock at 2:02. I'll filter back for those skill positions once again here and give you a scroll of the board. Josh Cameron, wide receiver, Baylor. Eli Heidenreich, fullback, Navy. Trip Tranum, running back, Toledo. Jam Miller. Full transparency, know nothing about the game, but that sounds like a Pro Bowler.
I'm not a Jam Miller fan. So
okay. I'm more of a margarine guy anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Can you just put up the running back so I can just a quick scroll on those?
Yeah, let's do it. Robert Henry Jr. out of UTSA, Roman Hemby, Indiana, Terrian Stewart, Virginia Tech, Rasul Faison, South Carolina, Kalen Black, Indiana, Jamal Haynes, Georgia Tech.
Okay, yeah, let's go with Roman Hemby here, the running back from Indiana. Roman Hemby, he came from Maryland, and Roman Hemby, he can catch the ball. Unfortunately, his running back mate there with Indiana, Kalen Black. I like the way that Kalen Black runs, but he's not a receiving back.
Okay.
Of course, this is where the Vikings, if you release Aaron Jones, that a selection of a running back would be in part addressing that, and a big part of your thought process. It has to be mixing that guy's skill set to Jordan Mason. So the aspects of Jordan Mason's game that aren't there, you want this guy to be good at passing down. That's what we're looking at here. And Hemby is a good receiver. So I mean, we got Nowakowski for the pass blocking, and then to send him out on different stuff, we were getting Hemby as our sort of receiving back here. Smart player, skilled player. The athleticism is going to be interesting with him. I think that's sort of the last part of his eval that he's going to have to prove, Roman Hemby, because he's not quite as athletic as some of these other running backs. You look at the on-field athletic profile last year, 72nd percentile athlete by the Chips. And I think he's going to run in the 4.5s. But again, the skill of the player and the ability to be the pass catcher out of the backfield for the Vikings is why we're going to take Roman Hemby here.
All right, so Roman Hemby there. Now 2 picks remaining, 234 and 240 for us. Just at the top of the board for all players. Eli Heidenreich is there. Sawyer Robertson, QB Baylor, who I know you mentioned Senior Bowl stuff. Lewis Bond, wide receiver, Boston College. Cole Payton is there. Tommy Castellanos. Elijah Pritchett, tackle Nebraska. Is this Logan Fano? Is that a brother of Spencer?
Yeah.
Oh, and they both played Utah. Okay.
All in the family.
So is that going to be brutal when one guy's a first-round pick and the other guy is a 7th-round pick potentially?
It'll be brutal for Logan at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, a lot of sitting around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right. Here are some of the Dylan Bell.
Let's go with in this pick. We haven't taken the receiver yet, right?
No.
Okay.
No,
let's just hit that. Let's see what we have here. We're getting to the bottom of the barrel a bit.
Yeah. And this would be I don't know, probably a diamond in the rough at best.
Yeah.
And not even a diamond. You're going to find an off-brand like Pebble.
Yeah, we can't even get the D3 kid down here anymore as they moved him up.
Oh, yeah. Your boy Ty Montgomery.
Yeah. I think I want Harrison Wallace with this pick. Harrison Wallace, the Ole Miss receiver, he's been out there for a couple years. P4 was Penn State prior to that, so we've seen him in some pretty big spots. He's another guy where this in terms of skill, he can be comparable to some of the guys that are going to go rounds and rounds ahead of him. The athletic profile is the thing that we're waiting on for Harrison Wallace. He's an eyelash under 6 feet, eyelash under 200, and that's why he's an 82nd percentile on-field athlete. But it's the thing where he's not a big guy. The reason I like him is I think he's skilled with the route running. I think he's able to overcome the mediocre measurables. Basically, they're not terrible measurables, but mediocre. But I like him on the field. Again, he can run the routes. Dontavian Wicks. Kind of a guy for here. So let's take Harrison Wallace and get some receiver depth.
And then final pick of the draft for the Vikings at 240. More of a flyer than anything. And even though even the last pick that we just took, Harrison Wallace the third, special team stuff at best, probably right out the rip. But where do you want to go here?
I'm heavily leaning towards continuing the tradition of making this the Cole Payton pick. If they're just going to let us,
so why not?
Yeah, it's just a fun flyer. And if you're in the 7th round, it's a 6'2", 230-pound plus dual threat lefty that is going to run in the 4.5s. It's a fun player, and he can get the ball down the field. Cole Payton has a good arm. The spiral is just so tight on him, and he can get that ball down the field. I've talked about this in previous episodes, but Cole Payton, he holds onto the ball a little long. That's the thing where you're going to have to develop him initially in the pros. of being on time with those reads. It's going to take him a little bit. I've mentioned that in the FCS, because of his physical dimensions, because of the athleticism, you could sort of wait things out and give receivers every chance that you could before Cole Payton knew he could bail out of trouble at the last second. That kind of a game, it's not, that strategy is not going to completely work in the NFL, so we're going to have to speed some of that stuff up. But this is a fun ball of clay in Cole Payton. You could bring him in camp, the competition with Brosmer for QB3. The loser of that thing, you could potentially get him through waivers and get him onto the practice squad as well. So we will take Cole Payton with our final pick here at 240.
So that rounds out that 7-round stick and pick mock. Let's run through it here. PFF at pick 18, we take Avion Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson. A grade
Just
there.
Crushing us for Big Citrus.
Big Citrus, they are not freshly squeezed. They're going to give us a D+ on that grade at pick 49 out of Iowa State. Jennings Dunker, they give us a B- for the tackle out of Iowa. At
Heavy Iowa influence in this class. I forgot about the Big Citrus at Iowa State. So I guess we had 3 Iowans. I'm showing my Iowa bias.
Safety Genesis Smith at pick 97 out of Arizona. That gets us a B grade. We go Logan Jones at 161 for a B-. The center out of Iowa, Bryce Bocher, linebacker of Oregon, a D+. Oh no! Then they really tag us for the Riley Nowakowski.
Unbelievable! Show some respect for Riley Nowakowski.
Let's get some respect on his name. Yeah. Tight end in Indiana, who we would convert, and then Roman Hemby actually gets us our second best grade of the draft so far. Running back out of Indiana at pick 202, an A-. Then Harrison Wallace, the third, gets us a C. Wide receiver out of Ole Miss. And then Cole Payton, B- grade, QB out of NDSU at pick 240 for an overall B- grade. Thor, your thoughts on this stick and pick?
I'm happy we did it. There's a couple picks there I felt a little claustrophobic without being able to move down the board, and get into a better slot for, kind of the guys that I liked. But, it's also nice to, in some ways, this simulates reality too. There's going to be picks where it's like, whether it's we got sniped or whether it's we're just kind of in no man's land with where the board is and what our needs are, where you can't find a trade out. Right. And so sometimes, like in real life, you're going to have to turn in a card or they're going to Kevin Williams you, start hopping over you. But it's, fun to go through with the slots. I think solid overall. It's not as good of a haul as we've gotten in some of them because of essentially the ability to manipulate the board and move up and down, again, to get into the pockets, pick up extra equity. But I think it's a solid effort. The first one, it fell right for us. The second one didn't, but it was kind of like that, right? There was just some of those slots where it didn't fall perfect for us, but I think overall, decent.
Well, that sort of wraps us up here. I do want to remind everybody, tomorrow it's Ask Thor Anything Thursday. Make sure you leave comments in the video here on YouTube. While you're at it, if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. And if you want to reach out a little bit more directly, you can get in touch with Thor and I through our email addresses just on the Score North free to download mobile app. Go on there. I think you just have to sign up really quick, but then you go to the feedback tab. You can type out however much you want, frankly, and that goes directly to us, and we see it first and foremost. So just a recommendation there. Otherwise, join us again tomorrow for Ask Thor Anything Thursday.
Yeah, and keep sending those. Even the wild stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, that's an interesting idea.
We're going to convert you here at some point.
Yeah, I got to get out to the arena. I got to see that team for sure. But yeah, send in your questions. We'll get to all those tomorrow. You all send in the best questions, so we really appreciate it. It sends us down some interesting conversational tangents or rabbit holes. So whatever you have, send those in, and we'll get to them tomorrow. On the Football Takes channel tomorrow, AJ and I are also doing a full round one mock draft. I'll be bringing in my friend, I guess, Derek Brown from Fantasy Pros to go do the alternating mock draft with me. So check out the Football Takes channel if you haven't. But thanks for joining us on another episode of Thor Talks Purple. We will be back tomorrow for Ask Thor Anything. For producer AJ, I'm Thor. We'll see you then.